Here's an original motivational speech in a style inspired by Gaur Gopal Das, with a powerful hook, engaging introduction, and 7 key points. My dear friends, let me ask you something. Why do two people wake up at the same time, work equally hard, face similar struggles, yet one builds an extraordinary life while the other remains stuck in the same place for years? Is the difference intelligence? Is it money? Is it family background? Or is it luck? No. The greatest difference is the way they think. Because before success becomes visible in your life, it is first created inside your mind. Every great achievement, every successful business, every meaningful relationship, every inspiring leader was first shaped by a powerful way of thinking. You don't become successful by accident. You become successful by making better decisions. And better decisions come from a better mindset. My dear friends, your life always follows the direction of your thoughts. If your mind is filled with excuses, your actions become weak. If your mind is filled with fear, your dreams remain unfinished. But when your mind becomes focused, disciplined, and positive, even ordinary actions begin producing extraordinary results. Many people spend their lives trying to change their circumstances. Highly successful people first change themselves because they know something most people never realize. Your external world is often a reflection of your internal world. If you improve the way you think, you automatically improve the way you speak, the way you work, the way you solve problems, the way you treat people, and ultimately, the way you live. Today, I want to share * 7 powerful thinking habits that highly successful people practice every single day. These are not shortcuts to success. They are timeless principles that shape successful lives from the inside out. 1. They focus on solutions, not problems. 2. They take responsibility for every outcome. 3. They think long-term instead of seeking instant rewards. 4. They see every failure as a lesson. 5. They continuously learn and improve themselves. 6. They protect their time and energy wisely. 7. They stay humble while dreaming big. My dear friends, always remember, your future is not decided by your circumstances. It is decided by your mindset. A single positive thought cannot change your entire life overnight. But thousands of positive decisions made because of the right mindset certainly can. Think better, choose better, act better, and your life will become better. Because success does not begin when your bank account grows. Success begins the moment your thinking grows. Train your mind before you chase your goals. Master your thoughts before you expect extraordinary results. The person who learns to think like highly successful people eventually develops the habits, character, and courage to become one of them. Thank you. One of the most powerful ways to think like highly successful people is to focus on solutions instead of problems. Every person faces challenges. Every person experiences setbacks, disappointments, and unexpected obstacles. The difference is not that successful people have fewer problems. The difference is how they respond when those problems appear. While many people spend their time complaining, worrying, or blaming circumstances, Highly successful people immediately begin searching for solutions. They understand that every minute spent complaining is a minute taken away from making progress. Imagine two people standing in front of a locked door. The first person spends hours complaining that the door is unfair, too heavy, and impossible to open. The second person quietly begins looking for a key. If the key is not there, they search for another entrance. If that does not work, they ask for guidance. If necessary, they build a new path. Eventually, one person remains standing in front of the same locked door, while the other continues moving forward. The obstacle was the same. The mindset was completely different. Life presents similar situations every day. Problems are unavoidable. But remaining stuck inside those problems is often a choice. Highly successful people understand that every challenge contains two opportunities. One opportunity is to complain, the other is to grow. They always choose growth. This does not mean they ignore difficulties. It does not mean they pretend everything is perfect. Instead, they honestly acknowledge the situation and immediately begin asking better questions. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" they ask, "What can I learn from this?" Instead of saying, "This is impossible," they ask, "What is one step I can take right now?" These questions shift the mind away from helplessness and toward action. And action is where progress begins. Another reason successful people focus on solutions is because they understand that problems are temporary. Every challenge, no matter how difficult, eventually changes. Some problems disappear with time. Others require effort. Some require patience. Others demand creativity. But almost every obstacle becomes easier when approached with a calm and solution-oriented mind. Panic clouds judgment. Complaining drains energy. Blaming delays action. Solutions require clear thinking. That is why successful people train themselves to remain composed even during difficult moments. Imagine a ship sailing across the ocean. Storms are inevitable. The captain cannot control the waves or the wind, but the captain can control the direction of the ship. If all the captain does is complain about the weather, the ship drifts aimlessly. If the captain adjusts the sails and changes the course, the journey continues. Life works the same way. You may not control every challenge that appears, but you always have the ability to choose your response. That response determines your direction. Another important lesson is that every problem carries a hidden opportunity. Many of the world's greatest ideas were created because someone refused to accept a problem as permanent. Instead of asking, "Why does this problem exist?" they asked, "How can this be improved?" Innovation begins with curiosity. Growth begins with responsibility. Success begins with action. Highly successful people train their minds to look beyond the obstacle and search for possibilities. Even failure becomes valuable because it reveals a better path forward. Another beautiful quality of solution-focused people is that they protect their emotional energy. They know that constantly talking about problems strengthens negativity. The more attention you give to what is wrong, the more overwhelming life begins to feel. This does not mean ignoring reality. It simply means refusing to remain trapped inside it. After understanding the problem, successful people quickly redirect their attention toward finding answers. They ask for advice. They learn new skills. They seek better strategies. They remain open-minded because they understand that every solution begins with the willingness to learn. A solution-focused mindset also creates confidence. Every time you solve a challenge, no matter how small, you prove to yourself that you are capable. That confidence becomes stronger with every obstacle you overcome. Eventually, difficulties stop feeling like threats. They become opportunities to grow stronger, wiser, and more experienced. Highly successful people do not expect life to become easier. They expect themselves to become better at handling whatever life brings. This mindset transforms fear into courage and uncertainty into determination. At the end of the day, your future is shaped less by the number of problems you face and more by the way you choose to respond to them. Problems will always exist. Challenges will continue to appear. Unexpected situations will arise. But every obstacle also carries the possibility of growth, learning, and improvement. When you train your mind to focus on solutions instead of problems, you stop wasting energy on what cannot be changed and begin investing your energy in what can. Your thinking becomes clearer. Your decisions become wiser. Your confidence becomes stronger. And your progress becomes steady. The people who achieve extraordinary success are not those who never encounter difficulties. They are the ones who refuse to let difficulties control their thinking. They look beyond the obstacle. They search for the lesson. They take the next step. And with every solution they find, they move one step closer to the life they are determined to create. That is the mindset of highly successful people. And it is a mindset that anyone can begin developing today. One of the most powerful ways to think like highly successful people is to take responsibility for every outcome in life. This mindset is not about blaming yourself for everything that happens. Instead, it is about understanding that while you cannot control every circumstance, you can always control your response, your choices, and your attitude. Highly successful people refuse to become victims of their circumstances. They understand that excuses may provide temporary comfort, but they never create lasting success. Think about two people facing the exact same challenge. Both lose an important opportunity. Both experience disappointment. Both feel discouraged. One person spends months saying, "If life had been fair, I would have succeeded. They never gave me a chance. It's someone else's fault." The other person pauses for a moment, accepts the disappointment, and then asks, "What can I learn from this? What can I improve? What should I do differently next time?" The situation is identical. The future is completely different. Why? Because one person surrendered their power to circumstances. The other accepted responsibility for creating a better future. Highly successful people understand that blaming others never changes tomorrow. It only delays today's progress. Many people believe responsibility is a burden, Successful people see it as freedom, because the moment you accept responsibility, you also accept the ability to create change. If your future depends entirely on other people, then you must wait for them to change before your life improves. But if your future depends largely on your own decisions, then every new day becomes another opportunity to move forward. That realization is incredibly empowering. Imagine a gardener caring for a garden. The gardener cannot control whether it rains tomorrow. The gardener cannot control every insect or every season. But the gardener can prepare the soil, plant healthy seeds, roam weeds, water the plants consistently, focus on the work that is within reach. Over time, those daily choices create a beautiful garden. Life follows the same principle. You cannot control every external event, but you can control your preparation, your habits, and your effort. Those choices shape your future far more than you may realize. Another important truth is that responsibility requires honesty. Highly successful people are willing to look at themselves before blaming someone else. If they make a mistake, they admit it. If they lack a skill, they learn it. If they fail, they study the reasons, instead of pretending nothing happened. This honesty is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of maturity. Because growth begins the moment you become willing to face reality without making excuses. Excuses may protect your ego, but they also prevent improvement. Responsibility may feel uncomfortable, but it opens the door to progress. Another reason successful people take responsibility is because they understand that small choices create big results. Success is rarely built through one extraordinary action. It is built through ordinary decisions repeated consistently, choosing to wake up on time, choosing to continue learning, choosing to remain disciplined, choosing to finish what you started, choosing to respond calmly during difficult situations. Each decision may seem small, but together they shape the direction of your life. Highly successful people know that today's habits become tomorrow's reality. That is why they focus on daily responsibility. Instead of hoping for sudden success, there will always be circumstances that feel unfair. Life is not always predictable. Unexpected setbacks happen to everyone. Sometimes opportunities disappear. Sometimes people disappoint us. Sometimes things happen that we never planned. Highly successful people do not waste their lives asking, "Why did this happen to me?" Instead, they ask, "What is the best thing I can do now?" This simple question shifts the mind away from frustration and toward action. Action creates momentum. Momentum creates progress. Progress creates confidence. Responsibility also strengthens character. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, your self-respect grows. Every time you choose discipline instead of excuses, your confidence becomes stronger. Every challenge you face responsibly teaches you that you are more capable than you once believed. This inner confidence cannot be given by anyone else. It is earned through consistent actions and personal accountability. Highly successful people understand that true confidence is built by doing what needs to be done, even when it is difficult. At the end of the day, taking responsibility is not about carrying unnecessary guilt. It is about taking ownership of your future. It is about refusing to allow temporary setbacks to define the rest of your life. It is about recognizing that your attitude, your effort, and your choices matter every single day. You may not control every chapter of your story, but you can decide how you will respond to each chapter. That decision shapes your character shapes your habits shape your future. The people who achieve extraordinary success are rarely the ones with perfect circumstances. They are the ones who consistently choose responsibility over excuses, action over complaints, and growth over blame. The moment you stop asking who is responsible for your problems and start asking how you can become part of the solution, your mindset begins to change. And when your mindset changes, your life begins to follow. That is why highly successful people never wait for the world to become perfect. They begin by taking full responsibility for becoming the best version of themselves, one decision at a time. One of the defining characteristics of highly successful people is that they think long-term instead of seeking instant rewards. In a world that encourages quick results, overnight success, and immediate satisfaction, this mindset has become increasingly rare. Many people want success without patience, achievement without consistency, and rewards without preparation. They become discouraged if progress is slow, believing that if results do not appear immediately, their efforts must not be working. Highly successful people think differently. They understand that the greatest accomplishments in life are built gradually, one small decision at a time. Think about planting a tree. The day you plant the seed, nothing remarkable seems to happen. The next day, the ground still looks unchanged. A week later, there may still be no visible sign of growth. If someone judged the seed only by what they could immediately see, they might believe nothing was happening. But beneath the surface, roots are quietly developing. The foundation is becoming stronger. Eventually, that hidden growth becomes visible. Years later, the same tiny seed becomes a tree, capable of providing shade, fruit, and strength. Success often follows this same pattern. The most important growth usually happens long before anyone else notices it. Highly successful people trust this process. They understand that meaningful success is rarely instant. Another reason successful people think long-term is because they know that every decision has consequences beyond today. Before making a choice, they ask themselves, will this help me 1 year from now? Will this decision make my future better? Instead of focusing only on today's comfort, they think about tomorrow's possibilities. Many people choose what feels easy. Successful people choose what creates lasting value. That difference shapes their future. Imagine two students preparing for an important examination. One spends every evening watching entertainment because it feels enjoyable in the moment. The other studies consistently, even when it requires discipline. The first student enjoys short-term comfort. The second invests in long-term success. Months later, the results reflect those daily choices. Life works in much the same way. Small decisions repeated consistently become extraordinary outcomes over time. Highly successful people also understand the power of delayed gratification. They are willing to sacrifice temporary pleasure for greater future rewards. They know that saying no today often creates greater opportunities tomorrow. They save money instead of spending impulsively. They continue learning instead of becoming satisfied with what they already know. They practice healthy habits instead of choosing immediate comfort. These decisions may seem small in the moment, but together they create remarkable results. Another beautiful lesson of long-term thinking is patience. Modern life often teaches us to expect everything immediately: instant messages, instant entertainment, instant information. As a result, many people expect instant success as well. When progress feels slow, they become frustrated. They change directions too quickly. They abandon goals just before meaningful progress begins. Highly successful people avoid this mistake. They understand that patience is not passive waiting. Patience is consistent effort, while trusting that results will come in their proper time. This mindset allows them to continue moving forward, even when success is not yet visible. Long-term thinkers also avoid being controlled by temporary emotions. Some days they feel motivated, other days they feel tired, but they never allow today's emotions to determine tomorrow's future. They remain committed to their vision because they understand that consistency matters more than occasional bursts of enthusiasm. Their decisions are guided by purpose rather than impulse. This creates stability in both their thinking and their actions. Another important truth is that highly successful people value building rather than merely achieving. Anyone can experience a short moment of success. Maintaining success requires character, building a meaningful career, developing strong relationships, improving your health, growing financially, becoming wise. All of these require years of consistent effort. Highly successful people are willing to invest that time because they understand that lasting success is far more valuable than temporary achievement. They build foundations instead of chasing shortcuts. One of the greatest advantages of long-term thinking is peace of mind. When you stop expecting immediate results, you become less frustrated by temporary setbacks. You understand that one difficult day does not define your journey. One mistake does not determine your future. One failure does not erase your potential. You simply continue taking the next step. Progress becomes your focus instead of perfection. That mindset removes unnecessary pressure and replaces it with steady confidence. At the end of the day, success is rarely created by dramatic moments. It is created by ordinary decisions, repeated faithfully over many months and years. Every book you read, every skill you practice, every healthy habit you develop, every challenge you overcome, every disciplined choice you make. These small actions quietly shape your future. The people who achieve extraordinary success are not always the fastest. They are often the most consistent. They understand that today's effort is an investment in tomorrow's life. Instead of asking, "How quickly can I succeed?" They ask, who am I becoming through this journey? That question changes everything, because when your focus shifts from immediate rewards to lasting growth, you stop chasing shortcuts and begin building a life of real purpose, strength, and fulfillment. Highly successful people know that the greatest rewards in life belong to those who are willing to think beyond today, remain faithful to the process, and trust that every meaningful step forward is preparing them for an extraordinary future. One of the most important ways highly successful people think is by seeing every failure as a lesson rather than as the end of the journey. Most people are afraid of failure because they believe it defines their ability, their intelligence, or their future. They think that making a mistake means they are not good enough. As a result, they avoid taking risks, trying new things, or stepping outside their comfort zone. Highly successful people think very differently. They understand that failure is not a permanent identity. It is temporary feedback that points them toward a better path. Think about a sculptor creating a masterpiece from a large block of stone. The sculptor does not create beauty with the very first strike of the hammer. Many pieces of stone fall away. Mistakes are corrected. Small adjustments are made. Slowly, what once looked like an ordinary block begins to reveal something extraordinary. Life works in much the same way. Every challenge, every setback, and every failure removes something unnecessary while shaping the person you are becoming. The process may feel difficult, but it is preparing you for something greater. Highly successful people understand this truth. They do not expect perfection. They expect progress. When something goes wrong, they refuse to ask, "Why am I a failure?" Instead, they ask, "What is this experience trying to teach me?" That single question changes everything. It shifts the mind away from self-criticism and toward personal growth. Instead of becoming discouraged, they become curious. They analyze what happened. They identify what could be improved. Then they move forward with greater wisdom. Every mistake becomes valuable because it teaches them something they did not know before. Another reason successful people learn from failure is because they understand that every great achievement requires practice. No one becomes excellent overnight. A musician practices for years before performing confidently. An athlete trains through countless difficult sessions before winning competitions. An entrepreneur may experience multiple unsuccessful attempts before building a thriving business. Behind every remarkable success are usually many unseen failures that provided valuable lessons along the way. People often admire the final achievement while forgetting the long journey that made it possible. Highly successful people never forget that journey. Failure also builds resilience. When life becomes difficult, many people immediately begin doubting themselves. They assume the obstacle means they should quit. Successful people see obstacles differently. They understand that strength is developed by overcoming challenges, not by avoiding them. Just as muscles become stronger by facing resistance, character becomes stronger by facing adversity. Every difficult experience teaches patience. Every setback develops perseverance. Every disappointment increases emotional maturity. Without these lessons, success would be difficult to sustain. Another important truth is that failure removes pride. It teaches humility. It reminds us that there is always more to learn. Highly successful people never believe they know everything. They remain students throughout life. When they fail, they remain open to advice. They seek feedback. They ask questions. They continue learning because they understand that growth begins where pride ends. This willingness to learn allows them to improve continuously while others remain trapped by their own ego. Failure also teaches adaptability. Sometimes the original plan simply does not work. Instead of becoming frustrated, successful people adjust their strategy. They remain committed to the goal while remaining flexible about the path. Imagine a river flowing toward the ocean. When a large rock blocks its way, the river does not stop flowing. It simply moves around the obstacle. Eventually, it continues its journey. Highly successful people think the same way. Obstacles may change the route, but they do not change the destination. They adapt instead of giving up. One of the greatest dangers in life is allowing fear of failure to become stronger than the desire to grow. When fear controls your decisions, you begin avoiding opportunities. You stop taking healthy risks. You remain where everything feels safe and familiar. But growth rarely happens inside complete comfort. Every meaningful achievement requires the courage to risk making mistakes. This highly successful people accept this reality. They would rather fail while learning than spend their lives wondering what might have been. At the end of the day, failure is never the opposite of success. More often, it is part of the journey toward success. Every mistake teaches a lesson. Every setback develops strength. Every challenge increases wisdom. If you refuse to learn, failure becomes defeat. But if you choose to grow, failure becomes one of your greatest teachers. The people who achieve extraordinary success are not those who never fall. They are the ones who rise every time they fall, carrying with them new knowledge, greater confidence, and stronger character. They understand that each experience, whether successful or unsuccessful, prepares them for the next opportunity. Instead of allowing failure to define their future, they allow it to refine their future. That mindset changes everything. Because when you stop fearing failure and start learning from it, every obstacle becomes a classroom. Every setback becomes preparation, and every challenge becomes another step toward becoming the person you are meant to be. That is why highly successful people never allow failure to have the final word. They allow it to become the beginning of a wiser, stronger, and more successful chapter of their lives.